The Colorado Rockies, in the grip of a relentless January blizzard, stretched endlessly under a sky the color of slate. Every gust of wind was a physical blow, whipping snow into blinding whiteouts. Ethan, a park ranger honed by years in this unforgiving wilderness, pushed forward, his snowshoes sinking deep with every step. At 28, he carried the quiet confidence of a man at home in nature, but today, even his seasoned instincts felt challenged. His golden retriever, Max, a sturdy 6-year-old with a coat the color of dried wheat, trotted faithfully beside him, his nose to the ground, an unshakable, furry shadow. Max wasn't just a pet, he was Ethan's anchor in this vast, often lonely expanse. They were on a routine perimeter check, ensuring no wildlife had been trapped or injured by the sudden, fierce storm. The air was thin, biting at exposed skin, and the silence, punctuated only by the howl of the wind, was profound. Suddenly Max stopped dead. His tail, usually a lively plume, went rigid. His low growl, more a rumble in his chest than an actual sound, directed Ethan's attention to a gnarled ponderosa pine, its branches heavy with snow. Tucked into a small, precarious hollow at its base, almost completely buried, was a tiny bundle of white fur. Ethan's heart seized. It was a wolf pup, no bigger than his hand, shivering uncontrollably, its eyes barely slits. Its mother was nowhere in sight, a grim reality in these mountains where mothers often succumb to harsh conditions while foraging. The brutal cold, the isolation, this pup didn't stand a chance. Every instinct screamed at Ethan to leave it, to let nature take its course. He was a ranger, not a wildlife rescue. But as Max gently nudged the tiny creature with his wet nose, a soft whine escaping him, something shifted inside Ethan. He saw Max's unwavering compassion, a reflection of the purity of the wilderness he was sworn to protect. He carefully scooped up the pup, nestling it deep inside his insulated parka, feeling the fragile flutter of its heartbeat against his chest. The warmth of his body seemed to coax a faint whimper from the pup. Back at his secluded log cabin, a few hours later, the contrast was stark. The raging blizzard outside, the warmth and security within. A roaring fire in the stone hearth cast dancing shadows. Ethan, with Max hovering solicitously, prepared a makeshift feeding station, warm milk in a dropper. He named the pup Ghost for its ethereal white fur that seemed to blend with the snow. Ghost was weak but tenacious. Max, usually a ball of boundless energy, transformed into a watchful, gentle guardian. He'd lie by the makeshift bed Ethan fashioned for Ghost, an old laundry basket filled with soft blankets, nudging the pup with his nose, licking its tiny head. As Ghost slowly regained strength, Max became his primary teacher. He'd gently retrieve small toys for the pup, patiently tolerating Ghost's clumsy attempts at play, and even shared his own food, pushing choice morsels towards the growing wolf. Ethan watched, mesmerized, as an unlikely family unit formed. The quiet cabin, once a solitary refuge, now echoed with the soft whimpers of a wolf pup and the gentle thud of a golden retriever's tail, a testament to an unbreakable bond forged in the heart of the wild. The seasons turned, and with them, Ghost transformed. No longer a fragile pup, he was now a magnificent young wolf, sleek and powerful, his coat a striking white, his eyes a piercing golden amber that seemed to hold the secrets of the mountains. He was a blur of motion in the vast fields behind Ethan's cabin, his powerful legs effortlessly outpacing Max in their daily games of chase. Ghost moved with the innate grace of a predator, yet there was a playful clumsiness, a lingering puppy-like joy that he reserved for Ethan and Max. He'd stalk Max through the tall grasses, pouncing with mock ferocity, only to dissolve into a flurry of happy tail wags when caught. On Ethan's patrols, Ghost was a silent, watchful shadow, his presence a constant comfort. His senses were incredibly acute. He'd often raise his head, sniffing the air, long before Ethan's radio crackled with reports of distant wildfires or approaching storms. He learned the trails, the scents, the rhythms of the wilderness from Max, who patiently taught him the boundaries of their territory around the cabin. Their bond was a silent language of nudges, glances, and shared moments of quiet companionship by the crackling fire, a sight that often startled the rare hiker who stumbled upon Ethan's secluded cabin. But as Ghost grew, so did the weight on Ethan's shoulders. He wasn't just caring for a pet. He was nurturing a wild creature, a top predator that belonged in the heart of the wilderness. He'd spent countless nights researching, poring over scientific journals, consulting with wildlife biologists. Every expert reiterated the same truth. A wolf by its very nature belonged in the wild. Domesticating it, no matter how well-intentioned, was a disservice to both the animal and the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Max seemed to sense Ethan's growing unease. He'd often nudge Ghost with his nose, a quiet, almost mournful gesture, as if imparting a silent wisdom about the call of the wild. Ghost, oblivious to Ethan's internal struggle, remained fiercely loyal, viewing the cabin as his den, Ethan and Max as his pack. One crisp autumn morning, a delegation from a prominent wildlife conservation group visited Ethan. They were establishing a wolf reintroduction program in a vast remote wilderness area several hundred miles north, a pristine sanctuary where wolves could thrive naturally. They spoke passionately about genetic diversity, ecosystem health, and the critical role of apex predators. As they spoke, Ethan's gaze drifted to Ghost, who was playfully wrestling with Max in the front yard. The wolf's wild beauty, its raw power, underscored every word the conservationists uttered. A cold knot formed in Ethan's stomach. He knew with an agonizing certainty what he had to do. The thought of saying goodbye to Ghost, to the creature he had nursed back from the brink, was almost unbearable. That night, as Ghost lay curled beside Max, their breathing a soft rhythm in the quiet cabin, Ethan watched them, a profound sadness mingling with an unwavering sense of duty. The bond they shared was extraordinary, a gift, but the wilderness was calling, and Ethan knew eventually he would have to answer for Ghost. The day of Ghost's release was marked by a somber stillness in the cabin. Ethan moved with a quiet purpose, preparing the specialized transport crate. His heart felt heavy, a dull ache that resonated with every creak of the wooden floorboards. Max, sensing the impending separation, was unusually subdued. He stayed close to Ghost, nudging him with his nose, a silent conversation passing between them that Ethan could only guess at. Their usual boisterous play was replaced by a gentle, almost mournful closeness. The journey to the remote release site, deep in a protected, sprawling valley teeming with elk and deer, felt interminable. The truck rumbled over rough terrain, the vastness of the Rockies unfolding around them. As they approached the designated area, a pristine wilderness untouched by human development, Ghost grew restless in his crate. His keen senses were already picking up the rich tapestry of scents and sounds, the true pulse of a wild environment. When the latch on the crate was finally opened, Ghost hesitated. His golden eyes filled with a mixture of apprehension and an innate yearning locked with Ethan's, then Max's. It was a moment suspended in time, a silent goodbye. Then, with a powerful, fluid motion, he leaped out, a blur of white against the deep green of the pines. For a few heartbeats he looked back, a regal silhouette against the rugged landscape, before vanishing into the dense forest. Ethan felt a sharp, physical pang of loss, tears stinging his eyes. Max let out a low, mournful whine, a sound that mirrored Ethan's own profound grief. They stood there for a long time, watching the empty space, the vast silence of the wilderness suddenly immense, a monument to their parting. Years blurred into a decade. Ethan continued his work as a park ranger, his dedication unwavering. Max, now an elder, slower in his steps but still with the same intelligent eyes, remained his loyal companion. They encountered other wolf packs on their patrols, glimpses of wild beauty, but none were Ghost. Ethan often wondered if he had done the right thing, if Ghost had truly adapted to the wild, if he remembered the cabin, the warmth, the love. The doubt was a persistent whisper in his mind. One particularly harsh winter, the Rockies were hammered by a series of unprecedented blizzards. A seasoned hiker had gone missing in a notoriously treacherous remote area. Ethan and Max were part of the search and rescue team, battling knee-deep snow and a relentless freezing wind that scoured the exposed rock faces. Visibility was almost zero. As they navigated a particularly dangerous ice-slicked pass, a surreal vision materialized out of the swirling snow. A pack of 5 wolves, their powerful forms stark against the white backdrop, appeared on a ridge above them. Max, usually cautious around wild predators, stood his ground, letting out a series of excited, high-pitched barks. Among the pack, one wolf, larger and more imposing than the others, with an almost luminous, ghostly white coat, stepped forward. His golden eyes, ancient and wise, locked with Ethan's. For a moment the world seemed to stop. It was Ghost. He hadn't forgotten them. He descended the ridge slowly, cautiously, his movements radiating a quiet power. He nudged Max with his nose, a silent, profound greeting, then turned his gaze to Ethan, a flicker of unmistakable recognition and deep affection in his golden depths. It was a fleeting, wordless reunion, a powerful testament to the unbreakable bond they had forged against all odds. Ghost then turned, leading his pack in a specific direction, subtly, almost imperceptibly, guiding them. Ethan, understanding, followed. Ghost was leading them towards the lost hiker. They eventually found the hiker, disoriented but alive, huddled in a snow cave Ghost's pack had somehow indicated. The extraordinary journey of a wolf, a dog, and a man had come full circle, proving that sometimes the wild heart finds its way back home, not just to a place, but to an unforgettable connection. If you were deeply moved by Ghost's incredible journey and the power of unlikely connections, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We bring you more real-life inspired stories of resilience, unexpected bonds, and the wonders of nature. Remember, while inspired by the incredible true stories of the natural world, this specific narrative is a work of fiction created for your entertainment.